Hello and welcome to the Elder Tree podcast. My name is Twiggy Dawn. I'm the founder of the Elder Tree and Alchemilla Herbals, and I reside on Jitterbug land here in far north Queensland. You are listening to the Herbal Education segment, where each new moon I invite a myriad of plant wisdom keepers to chat about the world of herbal education, about their passions and motivations, and their dreams for the future of herbal medicine education in Australia. This podcast is brought to you by the Elder Tree, a non-for-profit organisation whose mission is putting the medicine in the hands of the people. One of the ways that we are doing this is through this podcast. If you would like to go deeper with the podcast journey while supporting the Elder Tree for as little as $2 per week, then you can become a member of our Patreon. Thanks to all of the people and plants who have helped to make this podcast possible. Today I interviewed Dominique LivKamal from Medicine Room on Gubbi Gubbi country in Malaney on the Sunshine Coast, which is a space that is dedicated to herbal medicine making, free herbal treatment, education and community health for the past 25 years. Medicine Room dispenses 86 organic herbal preparations which are all made on-site and dispensed in a free clinic, in-store and at Eumundi markets. From this space, Dominique runs a regular myriad of diverse herbal medicine workshops, courses and events, plus runs a podcast and sells the 3 books that she has written. In this interview, we discuss stealth pathogens and the need for effective parasite elimination protocols, which is something that I'm actually quite passionate about. Dominique shares the journey of Medicine Room and her experience of running free clinics for 20 years. We talk about the importance of practitioners making their own medicine and knowing where their medicine comes from, and so much more. I hope that you enjoy this chat with this well-respected herbal teacher, clinician, and mentor. Hi, Dominique. Thanks so much for joining me here on the Elder Tree podcast today.
Hey, Tatiana, how are you going?
Yes, really good. Thank you. Beautiful weather today up here. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to get to have a chat with you about a few things today. And I'd love to start with hearing a bit about your journey with your beautiful offering, the Medicine Room, and love to hear a bit about that baby of yours and the history and your journey of creating this and running this space.
Okay, so the medicine room started in 1999 when my younger son Owen was born, and that was after the epic failure of a health food shop that I set up in Montville in southeast Queensland. And as a naturopath, I set up a health food shop with a herbal dispensary and lots of health foody things. And Owen, when he was born, I was running that business. And when he was 8 months old, one day he was just too much in the shop. He was crawling around. And I'm like, that's it, I'm taking this home. And at the time, we had a certified organic farm in Flaxton selling avocados that was BFA regulated. And we had our house, there was a wooden pole house. And so I set up one of the rooms in there and I called it Medicine Room. And then at that same point, I started manufacturing herbal medicines. So that was the beginning of the Medicine Room. So I was working as a naturopath as well in 2 pharmacies, the Taunton MCAL and the Ballara Pharmacy at Bribie Island. And I set up vitamin sections in there. And the model that they used was free clinics. And I'd come from a health food shop background up until my own epic failure in health food shops. And I really loved the idea of the free clinic. So when I was there, I started making medicines at home, of course, for my own little projects and learning around that process. But I was in the pharmacies doing that. And that's when in 2006, I brought out my first book, first edition of the Wellness Zone. And the Wellness Zone came about because of all the pharmacy work that I'd done. And I just got so sick of saying the same thing over and over again. And the same health issues were coming up with people. And I really got a great grasp of chronic illness and what chronic illness was and what people were looking for. And I also got a great grasp of the skepticism of my industry because I came from the health food alternative background. And then working in pharmacies, I learned that not everybody sees it the way I see it. So then I did the degree in complementary medicine. I was doing that at the time, and then I did a master's in public health and health promotion. And I just learned to be like a gung ho little researcher, like if someone said turmeric's good for you, I was finding out why turmeric's good for you. And then I was extracting it, and I was finding out what active constituents I needed and all that stuff. And then in 2004, something happened. I think the universe moves you in and out of spaces accordingly. And my time was obviously up in the pharmacies. And every time I'd walk into a pharmacy, I just get adrenal pain. And it was like I could really feel it. And I was like, I've just got adrenal pain. I can't be here. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I tried to work it out. I was like, how am I going to do this? And so I opened up a stall, a market stall, and we went to a couple of markets, and then I landed at the Eumundi markets. And I've been there ever since. Every Saturday we have a free clinic at Eumundi markets. And yes, I do manufacture there because that's my regulations. Under the extraction rules that I have as a naturopath, I'm allowed to extract and sell from the place that I extract from. So anytime anybody sees us in any festival or market, or they come to our home base here in Malaney, we're extracting there. We have extraction processes happening everywhere. And I think that's an important thing as well. So if you are a naturopath and you are falling under that regulation, Queensland's particularly easy to do it in compared to other states, because in Queensland you're allowed to manufacture and make a claim. So I'm allowed to have things on my market stall here saying Anika anti-inflammatory, something simple as that. But in other states you can't even have that. So like I know in New South Wales and Victoria, you can't have a market stall and have a cream on there and say pain relief, if you make it yourself. Whereas our laws in Queensland allow us to do that. So, like Queensland's the place in Australia where we've got more freedom. And then we started doing a whole lot of stuff like just really refining and developing our manufacturing processes. And we've run 100% free community clinics across all of our platforms. And Medicine Room offers education. We're a family business. My son Alex, who's an environmental scientist, runs my manufacturing. My daughter-in-law Tamara, who has been with me for 12 years, she's also a naturopath. And Dorina comes in and works with us, and other naturopaths come and work with us according to our time slots and what we've got available. But we love it. It's really grassroots.
Wow, so the medicine room has grown and evolved quite a lot from just being a room in your house. And also the medicines that you're making and dispensing have grown quite a lot. Like you've got 86 herbs, I believe, in your dispensary. Would you like to share with us a bit about the medicine that you're making and dispensing there?
Yeah, like from the get-go, I extracted all of my herbs, so it hasn't grown in the herbs as such, Tatiana, because I know herbs well, and I knew what I needed in my herbal dispensary. So I'm not a grower. I buy from growers, so I buy certified organic herbs, and we only extract with certified organic herbs. So yes, there's times when we don't have some things. Um, we work in botanical name with all of our herbs. We start with Achillea millefolium, which is yarrow, and we end with Zingiber officinale, which is ginger. And we extract them. We're a slow herbal dispensary, so our extraction processes take about 6 months for each herb to extract, because we macerate and then we percolate and then we double percolate. And we also do aquaethanol extractions. We do glycerol tracks. We've got all sorts. We can do oxymills. In a lot of the education I offer, I teach people at home, especially making oxymills and glycerol tracks, and pure honey extractions and salt extractions and oil extractions. Like my education with that pretty well comes from my book, The Magic of Food as Medicine, that I published in 2013, where we went into 200 fruits, vegetables, and herbs and why they were medicine, and then recipes of how to use them. I think that it's super important that we have access to herbal medicine, all of us. And so I've removed the barrier for the public to access herbal medicine. Like I've got the qualifications and all of everything that I need at my end to provide the service, so people can just come and get herbs.
Beautiful. Well, that's very fascinated in your extraction process that takes 6 months. I haven't heard of that before. That sounds like it's going to be a really potent end result.
Yeah, a lot of medicine's energy as well. Everything comes from from energy. But like when you looked at herbs that used to be, like if you go back into the history of medicine making, you'll see that 6 months isn't that long. 12 months would be a usual thing. They would make one batch of something that would last the year, and they would make it 2, 3 years ahead. So yeah, it's interesting. We're doing very old-fashioned techniques here.
Mm. That's wonderful. I look forward to learning more about that. Um, so yeah, 86 herbs in your dispensary, and you make all of your preparations. And you're the only dispensary I've actually found in Australia that can boast that you make all of your own medicine that you dispense. And you also make a range of balms and salves and creams as well, don't you?
Trencher O'Reilly, she makes all of her full dispensary. She's also based here in Malaney. Trencher would be a good lady
Oh.
for you to interview. She's in her 70s now.
Mm.
Who else does? Laurel Hefferon no, she doesn't do all of her own medicines. She buys some in. Um, yeah, look, I know not many people are doing it, but we should be.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that that's something that you're quite passionate about, and as we were talking about yesterday, that you're going to be creating programs for practitioners to be able to create their own dispensaries. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, look, it's on the list, and it's a mentoring and medicine making from me, just taking some people and running them through a program that would be like a 9 month program, 12-month program, where they're already qualified and they're interested in the art of medicine making, and they're interested in incorporating my model into their own clinics. Yeah, I think it's worth doing because a lot of information is it's difficult to get, and it's getting more difficult to get. Like when we started off like Kerry Bone in Australia, he had MediHerb, and that was in Toowoomba, and he was a naturopath doing all of that. And then when he tried to scale up, he ended up selling the company. And when he sold the company, like it's hard to teach people to make medicine when there's a conflict of interest between the industry and the core root of what you're trying to achieve. Like if you run your students through your educational facility and don't teach them to make medicine but are being funded by the pharmaceutical or the nutraceutical industry, then you're going to be encouraging your students to be purchasing products of those. And then when you go to conferences, which I go to a lot of conferences globally, and there's a lot of companies that have had the ability to step up and meet the regulations and manufacture. And we're aiming for that as well in Medicine Room. We're aiming to be able to manufacture and sell directly to naturopaths and to sell
Mm.
directly into herbal dispensaries simply because it's a regulation hoop jump that is very expensive to do, but it opens the market for you a lot more. But on the other hand, the regulations at the moment allow us to make the medicines, and I'd rather hold on to that. I'd like that to be something that's held on to, and that we don't lose that in all of this stuff with Arona and regulations, and going in and
Mm.
wanting to be regulated by the TGA more, as opposed to being a self-regulated industry. The self-regulated industry gives us this freedom with relatively zero fees involved. Whereas if we get into that next level of regulation, it could be very expensive for us to make our own medicines if it's still allowable. So there's a
Mm.
lot there to be talked about.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and it can be really hard to find information about. I found even after doing the uni degree, it's like there was still not a lot that was taught around that.
Therapeutic Goods Administration is the federal government, and they override everything. Different states have their own regulations and their own laws. And then when it comes to our industry, we're regulated, we're self regulated. We have associations NHAA, ANTA, ATMS, CAM, and then we've got a RONA that was set up, which is an overriding body trying to look at regulations. After we had a lot of trouble a few, well, maybe ever how long ago it was, where they took away our rights to claim on people's private healthcare insurance, which I never claimed on anyway because I've always had free clinics. So that law didn't affect me. Where did you do your degree?
With Torrens, well, I kind of got bounced around a bit. I enrolled in a small college in Southwest Australia, and then they closed down. And then I enrolled in Paramount, became a final year student, and then they closed down overnight. So then I went to Torrens and got put back to being a first year student. And I've been a little bit through the ringer with it all. But yeah,
Ah, I think we all have.
it's a journey.
Like it took me. It is a journey. It took me years and years too. I remember all through my 20s and 30s, I was studying because when we started, like you didn't have to say anything to be a naturopath in Australia. And then they said, and we used to call ourselves natural therapies. And I got this diploma in natural therapies. And then they said, oh, we're going to be a naturopath. So I got this diploma in naturopathy. And then they said, oh, no, that's been grandfathered out. You have to have the advanced diploma of naturopathy. So I got the
Hmm.
advanced diploma of naturopathy. And then, but all that time, you could walk in a health food shop, you could work in a pharmacy, you could work anywhere. And up until I forget the year, you could call yourself a naturopath in Australia. Like it was just completely unregulated. And then, so for me, I was able to work in the industry the whole time while I was hoop jumping through the qualifications, which is helpful because it means that I was able to earn money and pay for my education.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, those the laws and regulations have really changed quite rapidly, haven't they? I interviewed Sue Evans a few months ago, and we kind of explored a little bit of the history and when the TGA came in, and just yeah. Also, I was kind of following that trail. I was trying to enroll in an advanced diploma, and literally the month that I was ready to enroll, they were like, no, we're not doing advanced diplomas anymore. None of the colleges were allowed to. Suddenly, they had to do degrees. Yeah, and then I was at doing that when they suddenly said, okay, you can't have homeopathy degrees anymore, and they totally dropped that and said no such thing as homeopathy degrees. And so yeah, I've been kind of watching, just in my kind of 10-year window, been watching a lot of changes happening, and then all of the universities kind of scrabbling to try to keep up with that, which is would be, yeah, really difficult, I'm sure. And then for the students as well, the going through that journey.
Yeah, because I know Sue, and the Sue was at Southern Cross, and then they
Yeah.
closed all the naturopathic stuff there. And then, thank God, we've got people in the world like John Wardle. I love John so much. He is just such an advocate for the naturopathic industry in Australia, and he's worked very closely with Sue. And now Southern Cross have opened again, and we've got naturopathic medicine back down there in the Northern Rivers, and that's massive. That's a massive shout out to those guys because they've worked so hard to get that happening, and it's
Mhm.
successful. It's going to work.
Yeah, beautiful. That's great. Yeah, Sue's very passionate, and yeah, very very knowledge, and kind of got a very broad depth of 50 years in the in Australia and in the herbal community and industry as well. So she's got a
Mm.
very broad and a lot of passion. So yeah, that's great that they're bringing that back at the Southern Cross. I think I want to take a totally different side trail now, because there's something that I'd love to talk with you about on this interview, and it's actually a topic that you did a webinar on last night, and a topic that you've also got an upcoming course on stealth pathogens. And so, yeah, I'm very curious about this topic. I know a little about it, but I'd really love to hear from you, yeah, a bit of an overview for our listeners, like about stealth pathogens, and also about the upcoming course that you have about stealth pathogens.
Okay, well, I'll start off with the upcoming course because the way I'm running my herbal education is that Um, we have a group, say 30 people, 40 people doing the course at the same time. This course is 3 weeks online. And the cost of the course on the early bird now, which I'm closing today, which is the 18th of October 2024, is $120. And that basically, you will get a 500 ml bottle of herbs that will last you for the 3 weeks of the course, and you will get 50 to 75 grams of herbal tea that will also last you that time frame. And we run a program called Clinico, which is a naturopathic program. And on Clinico, you can put forms on there and you can send a form to anyone to ask any question. So when people enroll in my course, we send them the form, which is really detailed information from them about what they want from the course and what's going on for them. And then we will formulate a herbal medicine and a tea individually for them. And then we send it out. We have 2 education nights a week, so there's a total of 6, and they're just on Zoom, and we're all in the room together, and basically I give education for about maybe an hour, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, and then they will ask questions and discussions. And it's so rich and it's so valuable because it's like having a naturopathic clinic twice a week, plus you're taking the herbs, plus you've set your intention for the course, and everyone is, even though they're doing the same course, it's the same topic, it's different for each person. So each person has a different experience of the course. They're dealing with different things to do with, this case, the topic is stealth pathogens. Now, stealth pathogens are tricky. They tend to be able to evade your immunity if they've been in there and they're strong. They can be anything that's come into the body. It can be a fungus, a bacteria, a virus, a yeast, a mold, a parasite, something that's come in through your food. It can be something that's airborne that's come in through your nose and your upper respiratory tract. It can be something that's come in that has touched your skin. And our body's first response to any of these invasions is to have an immune response, like to treat it like an allergen and you have an allergenic response, or to treat it like it's an inflammatory response. And so, what stealth pathogens do is they're super tricky because they trick the body into not having the allergenic response and not having the inflammatory response, not having the immune response. So, they basically trick the immunity and they evade your immunity. They're very evasive. But they're not evasive to start with. Like, you don't want to miss the first signs. So when something enters the body, it's known to be acute because it's there and it's there right now. And let's face it, that's the time to get rid of it. Right. And being aware and having a consciousness that something's different, and having strategies, tools, herbs, understanding and education to recognize when that trigger's being pulled, and to know these are the steps that I can take right now because I feel intuitively that I've been exposed to something. It's like yesterday in my clinic here in Malaney, a lady came in. I, you know what? I even asked her if she wanted a face mask. She was annoying me so much. And I mean personally, because I don't respect it when people walk into my herbal dispensary and they send out a meter of sputum and are coughing away. And then I say, oh, are you really sick? Oh, no, I've had this cough for a month. And I'm like, okay, would you like me to get you a face mask? I don't want a face mask. I don't believe in face masks. I'm like, okay, whatever. I believe in face masks because it's going to keep your sputum inside your face and it's not going to come out in my room. But I didn't say that because I was being Dom the naturopath. So instead, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I sat as far away from her as possible, not downwind. And I basically helped her because when our job and our role in service is to help everybody, and it's not to be judgmental. And if she wants me to catch whatever she's got, then obviously what's my problem with that? Because she didn't believe she had anything. She thought it was just a chronic cough, but there was a lot of airborne particles going around. As soon as she left, I just had a shot of what my viral support blend, which is elderberry, echinacea, star anise, cat's claw, and withania. And I just had a shot of that, and I'm like, oh, thank God I've got my viral support base here, because it's like a base, and then I'll add other herbs for people. But I had some of that, and I felt that was the right thing to do. And then it just totally depleted. The whole thing just left. So that energy of that sputum, whatever was in it, was no longer in my sphere. I'd known what to do. I'd mitigated it. I'd taken it when it could have gone into an acute situation. And I had that shot of herbs, and now it's left me. It's gone. It's gone. Because it sometimes takes just one simple step when you're exposed to an acute situation, Tatiana, to stop you from getting that illness. You know what I mean? Like one little thing, like one little shot of herbs, or some iodine is another one that's really good, or like salt water is another thing if you haven't got anything else. There's things that you can do if you think that a pathogen is entering the body. Simple strategies, and that's when you deal with it when it's acute. It's never going to become stealth if it's acute, but if it's left in there, it goes in the body, it gets caught up in the mucus in the digestive tract, it moves into the lymphatic system, it goes to the liver, it gets in the bloodstream, it gets in the urine cycle, it gets into the pockets of the large intestine, it develops and it grows, and it has a whole little family in there, and they're happily breeding and excreting in you because you are just planet Tatiana. That's all you are, and you are an organism that they choose to live in. Then basically you've got a problem. Now, you might get inflammation, you might have chronic inflammation. Now, we all know, anyone in naturopathic and anyone in medicine, in any kind of medicine, knows that if you wear your immunity down enough, you may get an autoimmune disease. If you leave a virus in the body long enough, and if you have accumulative viruses, you may get chronic fatigue syndrome, and you may get a whole lot of other things that come with that. So when we start stacking these things on top of each other, it's like it's better out than in. That's all I can say about that. You want it out. You don't want it in. I don't want to be Planet Dom with this entire being a host to all the things I don't want. I want to be Planet Dom, and I want to be the host to all the things I do want. So therefore, we have to address things like our microbiome. We have to address things like our mucus straps in our body. We have to address the mucus in our head cavity. We have to clear our lymphatic system. We have to have a good, clean liver. We need to look at the pockets in our large intestine. We need to see where the parasites are, where all that kind of stuff is. So I think when you say you don't know much about this, you do. Like, you've studied this, and you know a lot now. I'm talking about it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the whole concept of nipping it in the bud, or a stitch in time saves nine, like just getting things at first signs is definitely something that I live by anyway. And yeah, we were taught certain viral protocols in uni, but just not really about stealth pathogens in particular, and the way, like what you're describing, the way they move through the body, the way they can come through different body systems, where they can store and breed, in the intestines, and just, yeah, some of the things you're saying about that. Yeah, it's not something that we were kind of officially taught. So yeah, it's great to hear. And
Hmm.
yeah, so do you sell
Okay.
those kind of protocols in from your dispensary? Like, is that something that the listeners can buy, that virus base, that you were talking about, that blend with the withania
Oh,
and elderberry?
all my herbs are available to everyone. Like, someone just
Mm,
needs to talk to me about what's going on, and I'll formulate for you individually. That's how I
mm,
work. So yes, we have massive antiviral protocols here that we follow for people depending upon what's going on. But just on that note, with your listeners, you might be interested in the topic of like with parasites, with stealth pathogens. You know how sometimes I believe that a parasite cleanse should be done over a long period of time, and that a very small amount of the nephroquinines need to be given, and that you would take herbs before you go to bed every night, um, to deal with your parasites. Because have you noticed that when people do a parasite cleanse, how they'll do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll go, oh, well, I've got rid of them all. But what they've only got rid of is the weak and the meddling parasites. Any parasites that's got two brain cells, or a parasite that's strong and wants to live, recognizes that as you do these things, and the harsher the parasite cleanse is, the more the self pathogens are going to go up into those pockets and hide and breed. And then you just end up getting rid of the weak and meddling ones. The only way to get rid of a self pathogen is to trick it out. It's the only way. You've got to trick them out, and you've got to do it over time, and you have to be patient. Like, we can take all viruses out of the body, till, we can do all of that stuff, and we can take anything that you've got in your body that doesn't belong there. If you have a really good antimicrobial, antioxidant, immunomodulatory protocol in place, and you give it enough time. And the key is for you as the person. Like, this is my body, I have to understand it. So when I do my education, I'm educating you on the topic. So therefore, you're able to understand the topic, and you're able to relate it to how you can practically, in a very doable way, apply it to yourself and your family, and how you can recognize. I do this with every topic I teach, because I really don't want to be saying something twice to somebody. I don't want to say something to you now and then you come back in a year and say, Dom, I've got this problem again. I'm like, I told you about that. And then you're like, yeah. And I'm like, did you not understand it? And, it's interesting. If someone tells you something, if you don't actually understand it and see it is how you can apply it, that's education wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to get the gold nugget of the information, and you want that to be something that, like, if I say something, I fully expect the person I'm educating, if that's the role that I'm in, to ask questions, to ask for something to be said again, to ask for it to be said in a different way, to tell me that it makes no sense and that this is their opinion of it. And then we can have that conversation. And you know what? We're both going to learn something.
Mm. Well, that's the wonderful thing about this format, of the stealth pathogens this 3 week, this kind of uh, naturopathic group consultation space is like really amazing because it's relevant for people. So a lot of the different schools and teachers and places to learn, it's all kind of rote learning. They say something, you repeat it back, cool, you got it right, move on. But then actually having this, making it relevant to people. So taking people on that journey and it actually being a personal journey, and where they're taking the medicine themselves and having that group journey that's so much more tactile and kind of embodied and they're a lot more likely to remember the things that you're teaching them. So a lot of it I think comes down to teaching styles as well, and the environment of the learning as to whether or not people retain the knowledge.
Yeah, and also it's 100% on the person who's getting educated, because if I'm not interested in a topic, like, you know what, I'm not even going to get any of that. And if I don't want to be doing a self-pathogen course, but my partner's made me because they've decided that I need a self-pathogen course, I'm going to be dragging my ass through it. Whereas if I'm the one, like, I want to do a self-pathogen course, um, that's that's the thing. Like, if you can't self-drive, if you can't be inspired, if you can't be passionate about it, like, it's just a no. Only do the things that are a solid yes, and anything that's a maybe, just say no to it, because there's going to be enough solid yeses coming up that
Mm.
you can choose whatever you want to learn about, and your body will tell you. Like, in this case, we're doing a stealth pathogen course. This year I've had a metabolism course, a sleep course, a detox course, and now this one. But this one came out of the detox one. And in those courses, the engagement has been phenomenal, because everyone doing the courses, I don't want someone to come and do my course unless they want to do it. Like, it's not like I'm charging them anything to do it. You know what I mean? It's a free course. They're paying for the herbs that they're taking in the course. And if they're not passionate and driven to improve that aspect of their life, then their time is way better spent somewhere else. So,
Mm.
yeah. But the people who want to do it, they're super welcome. Love it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, sign me up. I'm there. It sounds like a really great kind of learning environment, and also learning environment, and also having that guidance over a 3 week. Having that kind of close guidance, and makes kind of healthcare much more affordable for people as well. So, yeah, and it's just great. Yeah, it's great what you're teaching as well about the parasites, because that's something that I find there's a really difficult to find good information about. Every single teacher I had through university, I asked them about parasite protocols, and I didn't have one single teacher give me a parasite protocol. In fact, it seemed to be a bit of a taboo topic, like it wasn't taught in any of the curriculum. And it's something that I found hard to find information about, and there's kind of a lot of stabbing in the dark and a kind of, loose protocols I find online. Or yeah, so I'm very definitely very interested in your whole stealth pathogen approach, but in particular the protocols around the longer protocol of parasite elimination and some of your teachings around that, because yeah, it's definitely not, I'm not finding it good sources. I buy any book that I can find on human parasites, and I don't find good protocols in any of them. So yeah, love to actually hear a little
Okay.
bit more about that approach that you have, the slow approach with the parasite elimination.
Okay, so let's just think about parasites. They like an anaerobic environment mostly. A lot of them are too small to see. They are misunderstood, and are not like a lot of research hasn't gone into them because there's not a lot of money in it. And then we've got the topic of like it's expensive to diagnose with the diagnostics that we have got, like giving
Mm,
people stool tests and giving people, like whether it's going to be saliva, blood, stool, or urine. They're the four body fluids that we diagnose with if we're going to do that, unless we're going to do a biopsy of the large intestine to take out what parasites are there to actually really know who's there. It's a mysterious topic. And it's also an expensive topic, like in the world of natural medicine generally, because you would say, oh, you have to, like you have to have all of these diagnoses and tests. But guess what? They can't test for most of the things anyway. So I understand why you say, like, your teachers were steering away from it, because, like, I'm not steering away from it because I want us to all be more out than in,
mhm,
like doing this stuff and getting rid of these things. It's something that shouldn't even be put in the hands of a medical expert. It's the people's medicine. It should be put, it's our body. We need to deal with it. So, as
mhm,
far as a protocol goes, every human on this planet needs a protocol. They need a way to eliminate parasites. So, traditionally, we have things like pumpkin seeds, we've got garlic, and then in herbs, we've got Juglans nigra, the black walnut hull, we've got
mhm,
Artemisia annua, Chinese wormwood, Allium sativum garlic, we've got Carissa papaya, pawpaw, we've got things like Andrographis. Oh, there's more. It just depends upon who you're going for as well. Like, a lot of things get stuck in the mucus in the intestines as well. And so you've got these mucus straps that are full of festering toxicity along with your immunoglobulin A, your immunity that just gets worn down. And then we've got to remember that inflammation is a precursor to all chronic disease.
mhm.
Diabetes, blood, all the cardiovascular stuff, obesity, diabetes. I think I said diabetes, cholesterols, all that stuff. And if you look at if you look at inflammation creating those being the precursor to that stuff, you say, well, anytime you get inflammation, there's a big red flag. So, how do we deal with our inflammation in our body? Well, you can go infrared saunas, you can do cold water therapies, you can fast, you can do detoxes and cleanses, you can do elimination diets, you can do it all. But you can't do any of it unless you know what they are.
Yeah, unless you know what
And
you're
then the
dealing
health
with.
experts. Yeah, right. And so all of us health experts, which I'm not one of, basically say, oh, this is the way you should do it. And it's like, no, it's not. The way you should do it is the way that works for your body. And if someone will give you the education in a language that you can understand and teach you about that exact topic and tell you what your options are, I'm sure that you're intelligent enough and motivated enough to go ahead and do that.
Mhm. Yeah,
I have a
beautiful.
very different approach to health.
Yeah, I love it. It's refreshing. It's great. Yeah. Yeah, I actually had an experience about a decade ago, because I grew up on Combantrum and all the pharmaceutical, my mum would do the annual worming with the pharmaceutical wormings. And about a decade ago I bought the some of the triplex from PPC Herbs, that's growing down in Tasmania, and did a course on that, and I was completely in the dark. I was hunting around for parasite protocols, and I couldn't find anything that I felt like I could trust. So I did a short fast, and then did this. Took this tincture and passed a mammoth tapeworm that must have been in me since I was a kid. And then after that passed, I had a myriad of other issues suddenly pop up in the coming next couple of weeks, and I had no guidance on how to work with that. And yeah, and still to this day, trying to find people in Australia that specialize in that, or that just know how to deal with that, those toxins that get released when parasites, if you do an inefficient, parasite elimination, and they're pumping out their eggs on their way out, and they're puking, and they're pooping, and they're kind of toxing off, and then then that can stir up more of a mess and create more issues, or noticeable issues than when they were there. So yeah, it's something that I still to this day have not found great information about. So I'm definitely very interested to learn more. Maybe that could be the
Okay,
next book.
so S- yeah, go for it. That's a good book for you. Um, um, I'm not taking that one. Um, when you think about it, if you do a long, slow parasite cleanse, and even if you don't know what's there, and you're taking a small amount of herbs that aren't going to increase peristalsis, which nephroquinines, the active class of active constituents that get rid of parasites, are often nephroquinines in the case of Jacqueline's digrat, and you would say, okay, well, if you want to just gently coax them out, um, why would you think that once they're out, it's over just because one is out or whatever? It's not. It's like they can't diagnose. You can't, the blood tests aren't there yet. Like, unless it's in your blood. And sometimes these things are in your cells or they're in your digestive tract, they're just not in your blood. There's a whole lot of parasites, and there's some particular ones from associated with ticks that move in and out of the bloodstream as evasive stealth pathogens. So literally move in and out of your they literally move in and out of your bloodstream. So unless you do the blood test at an exact time, and I'll give you the name of it because it's super interesting. It's Bartonella, Bartonella. And it's from ticks, and you get acute infection, fever, sick, and it's an illness, and it's just it's how many more are there that we just know absolutely nothing about. So when you think about the herbal medicines, like things like Artemisia annua, a Chinese wormwood that starves the peroxide bridge between the epithelium and like the tumor or whatever it is, that's really good to help get rid of parasites as well. But the beautiful thing about taking these herbs and taking them for like a period of time is that you know that you're getting rid of stuff, and often it's etherical as well. Like, I did a parasite cleanse earlier this year, and seriously, it was an auric parasite cleanse. It was a mental parasite cleanse. In fact, it was a people parasite cleanse. People left my life. It's interesting because it's not anyone who sees the body as like this is the physical plane, but in Kundalini yoga, I'm involved in Kundalini yoga. It's like we have 10 bodies, and only one of those bodies is the physical body. So let's look at it that we are so multidimensional, and we've got these beautiful herbs, and we've got food, and we are spirit having human experience. So we're able to be grounded in this physical human body, and at the same time, when we take these herbs and we do these things in the human body, we're clearing out all of the other energetic bodies, and we're opening the way in our lives for us to be following our dharma, our path, and whatever we're supposed to be doing. So it's all good. You can't, so doing this stealth pathogen cleanse, the people that are doing that for the 3 weeks, they've got no ideas what's in for them. They're going to be going through a whole lot of stuff that's got nothing to do with parasites, that's got nothing to do with the physical body. And that's good because it's releasing from so many levels, and that's what we need. We crave that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely resonate with that. And I think the plants are working, they're multidimensional themselves, and working on in so many aspects. Herbs like hawthorn or motherwort that are for the heart, I also work with them for in grief, or separation, or just any matters of the heart, not just the physical heart, but just the emotional heart, and as well. So yeah, as above so below, there's so many different aspects that herbs can heal us on. So, and I've always thought that with parasites, that they're it's definitely an energetic thing, your host to these things. But yeah, and then working with these herbs can clear so many other layers of parasitic energies and attachments, and clear a lot of different things that you're not wanting to have in your planet anymore. So yeah, I love that.
E- Even if you don't know about them. And that's the
Mm.
other thing, and that's where we power forward with 100% commitment to releasing what no longer serves us. And
Mm.
so, like, it's like when you're doing a self pathogen course, it's not a case of, like, and when you say about looking for protocols and you can't find something, well, you're not going to find anything that's verified or validated these days. Science just is not up to that yet. It will be, they're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, what we're doing is we're doing it on all the levels, and we're getting rid of them, and we're working with it. And it's just so empowering for every individual that does these kinds of things. When you go on a hardcore, I'm not saying it has to be hard, but I'm saying hardcore, because it's hard. It's a hardcore commitment to go for, like 3 weeks of every night. When I go to bed, I'm taking 15 mils of herbs, and every morning when I get up, I'm drinking a cup of this particular tea. Try and do it. Try and do it for a week. The human state stops you. It's like, oh, I've done it for 2 nights. I've done it for 3 nights. That's why I'm having the education twice a week with just a few days in between, because I want to keep people on track.
Mm. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, good on you. Yeah, that's a great offering. And so, if people miss out on this one coming up, will there be more of the stealth pathogen? Do you think you'll do this again, the same format?
No, I don't repeat myself. I do something when I'm doing it, and
Mm.
then I do what I want to do when I want to do it. So I don't commit to doing something more than once, for the simple
Mm.
reason that this is about me as well as about you. So I'm offering education, I'm offering what I'm offering, and I'm offering it at that point in time. So I don't ever I don't commit to doing something more than once. I might do it again. I might feel like it, but I don't do something like, I remember with the herbal first aid, like in 2015, we were at a festival called Earth Frequency Festival here in Queensland, and the medicine room was there. It was our first year of being there, and all these people were walking by with all these injuries, and I remember we said, okay, let's do some first aid. So someone went into town and got all the stuff, and we had all the herbs there, of course. And so we made up a sign on the blackboard: herbal first aid, free herbal first aid. And that was the beginning of herbal first aid. And then it turned into a thing. And then I ended up going to London to the ICNM and presenting on herbal first aid. And I presented it in the UK and the US. And then I presented it at the NHAA conference in Australia. And then I did a webinar for NHAA in there. And then I was doing a few herbal first aid days here. Do not ask me to do herbal first aid because I'm over it right now.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, it's like the idea and the creativeness of something happens, and medicine's the same. And so, like, the people who follow my work, they know I'm going to do it now. Otherwise, it's probably not going to happen again. Or if I do it again, they go, "Oh, great, you're doing it again," and then other people jump in. But I think that that's the thing, is stagnancy can be created in education as well. And
Mm.
I like to keep my education alive. I like to keep it vibrant. And to keep education alive and vibrant, guess what? I have to be. I have to
Mm.
be those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great approach. Great approach. And yeah, and then when you're teaching, you're bringing that fresh, passionate, alive energy into the space, and that makes the biggest difference between a good teacher and and a teacher that you don't remember anything you learn from. When the teacher's it's alive and it's passionate, in them right then and there, then you feel that, and it gets passed over. So yeah, good on you
Oh
for
yeah.
being
It's
true to
like
yourself.
it's like our first aid. You know how we have to do those first aid courses every 3 years to stay as a
Hmm.
naturopath in Australia? You have to do
Yeah.
like a first aid course, right? I've got one coming up. I've got to do it in November or December. I am dreading it. Every time I go, it's the longest 4 hours of my life. Those teachers, they are just dead on their feet. They are not into it.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want
but
to be like
I
that.
had one the last time I did my first aid course. I did that. I finally, for the first time, got a passionate teacher, and it was a riveting class. And it was great. And afterwards, got offered a job at events doing first aid, and I was actually almost said yes. And yeah, but yeah,
Mm.
it totally changed the whole day. It was a short day, and I was disappointed when it was over because he was very passionate and very active. Yeah, not just regurgitating the same information over and over and bored faces in the room. Yeah.
Look,
So yeah.
exactly. That's it. That's the key. That's the key for all education. Like, if you want to teach something, you really have to be, if you want to learn something too, you really have to be that. You have to be able to immerse yourself in it. And I'm glad you
Hmm.
had a good first aid day. I'm looking forward to one. I haven't had one yet.
Yeah, I've got my next one coming up in November too. So yeah, hopefully I get a good teacher this time
Ah,
as well. So
good. I hope so.
I'm curious because you have such a, like, as a teacher you have so many platforms and ways that you're teaching. You've got 3 books so far that I'm aware of, and you've got your podcast, you've got your Eumundi markets presence and the other spaces, your actual medicine room space, and plus also you're running like really engaging workshops and events, and you also offer one-on-one personalized education as well, opportunities, don't you? Like, what kind of one-on-one mentorship with you directly? That's something you
Oh,
offer?
that's only for my students who I have, and I only have someone, and I work with me, and I pay them for work. I don't believe in taking somebody as a student and not paying for them, and I don't believe
Hmm.
in not teaching them properly, and I also don't believe in having anyone come into the herbal dispensary if there's not enough work for them to do it. I don't like people just sitting around because that doesn't help them or us. So yes, but nobody's moving at the moment here, so we're pretty locked in. We're pretty full. Um, we do have sometimes in festivals, when we do festivals, we do often take on a new person in festivals, but it's a massive training. The whole event is training them for the first event. It's a lot of work.
Hmm.
So yeah, like as far as that goes, I'm happy to offer that education, but we've been always been doing that, so that's how all of my staff come to me, so that's how it goes. Like when we have a vacancy, Tamara puts out to the naturopathic colleges and through a roundabout some people who've emailed me. We keep their emails and then we contact and then we run an interview process and hopefully get somebody out of that who's going to come and work with us. I've run a lot of students through their clinical hours for their degrees and that kind of thing. I'm pretty constantly doing that. I've always got 3 or 4 students that I'm doing that with. Um, yeah, I don't pay them because they actually come in and they will sit with me, and then we will be with one of my patients who is one of my patients who will come in and give them the time that they need to get what they need to get. So that's the and that patient knows they're coming in for that student, and it's like it's a long kind of blown out process, but the student learns a lot and the patient gets what they need, and it happens in like 100 times longer than if I did it. So
Hmm.
it's sort of but it's important that people learn that and get that. Yeah.
Hmm. That's wonderful. Okay, yeah. So there's lots of different spaces and ways that you're teaching. I find it really, really inspiring, actually. And then also, yeah, like you say, you kind of going all around the world and presenting at different conferences. I think you mentioned recently you're presenting in UK at the Herbalist Guild there. coming up?
Yeah, I'm doing stress herbs this year. I'm doing my top 8 herbs for stress, and that's on the 17th or the 16th of November. That'll be fun. So if you are a member of or if you want to go and join their annual conference, and listen to us all talk, you're very welcome. It'd be fun.
Oh, wonderful. So people can actually sign up and watch it online to
Yeah,
see
I'm
your
pretty sure they
presentations.
charge. Anyone, it's like all the associations, like at the NHAA, which is my association, I'm a fellow there. We have conferences, and the people who are not members are welcome to join our conferences as well. We just charge
Mm.
them more. Mm.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, I'll get some links for that and put it in the show notes for our listeners. So what else what else have you got coming up? Like what can we be expecting
The
with
Woodford
with
Folk
your
Festival.
hmm
We've got the Woodford Folk Festival coming up in December. I'm a programmer at Woodford. I program all the health and wellness. I've been doing that since 2007. So we have
mm,
yoga, music, breath work, dance, chanting, um, health, everything. It's good fun. And then that's it. Next year, I haven't organised any of my online courses next year, but people can sign up for my newsletter at medicineroom.com.au, and that's where I put everything out. So if we've got a free webinar coming up, I don't think I'm going to do any more this year. I did one last night. I'm probably going to do some next year, but I haven't decided that yet. Um, yeah, everyone's been asking me to do women's hormonal health again. Last time I think we did that was 2022, 2021. I'll probably do that next year. That seems to be the topic that everyone wants.
mm,
Mm. And that's a few
wonderful.
courses, because we've got the cycles and the moon cycles, and then we've got the different stages of life for women. So yeah, that's hormonal mostly.
Yeah, the endocrine system's a very complex complex thing to understand, and yeah, and like you say, yeah, different phases of life, it's a totally different um
Mm,
approach, and yeah, totally different to approach it, whether it's pre prior to menarche or during or when menstruating or when pregnant or menopause or any, our kind of endocrine, system's totally
mm,
different during all those different phases of life as a woman. So yeah, it's much more complex women working with
mm.
women's health, with our hormone health. So that'd be great.
And
um
it's interesting because, like, that's where you really have to get your hands on people as a naturopath, as a herbalist, because, like, I've been very, very lucky in my life, and the free clinics have given me that ability where I see thousands and thousands of people every year, and I'm talking to them directly, and I'm formulating for them, and then they're coming back to me, and then we're refining their herbs, or the formulas are working for them, and we don't need to do any refining. And because I've got a very tight arena in my work where I'm only working with organic herbal medicines that we are manufacturing, and I'm only working with organic raw herbs, I can see a really clear pathway to where the solution is, as opposed to becoming confused by having a lot of other ingredients and things, and a lot of different choices, and working with brand names and all, and particular things like that. It's all quite disempowering as a practitioner. Like, you really want to be working with the most simple ingredients that you can, so that you can
mhm,
see the results that are in your patients, and you know what is giving your patient the results. When you're taking bucket loads of tablets, and people walk in here with bucket loads of tablets, and I did my time in pharmacies. I know about the bucket loads of tablets. I know all about them. I know exactly where the money goes, and I know exactly, yes, they can help, but how many do you have to take? It's like, and how much do you have to spend? It's scary. The whole way, it's all designed so that people don't come to us. So what we have to do is turn it around so that people do come to us.
mhm. Yeah.
Did that make
Yeah, and in those
sense?
and in those buckets of herbs, you don't know what don't often they're not stating what tableting aids or fillers or, different other ingredients, and they don't explain the process, what chemicals might have been involved in the process to, to make those tablets and capsules as well. So, when you're buying it direct from the person who's made it, like yourself, you can ask those questions and you can know exactly what kind of processes have gone in or what ingredients have gone in. And but yeah, from a consumer level, especially people that are going to health food shops or pharmacies to get their herbs, don't always know exactly what they're getting given there. So yeah, it's good to buy it direct from the maker.
Well, that's why they pay the TGA the big bucks, because when you've got registration, you don't have to. Your ingredients are then, you're allowed to keep them a secret from everybody. They don't have to be listed on the item. Whereas if you make a cosmetic product, like which we also make in Medicine Room, you have to have all of the ingredients listed. And then
So
you have to have a
strange.
certificate of analysis for the ingredients and then the product and safety data sheets and all this kind of stuff. It's interesting how it works. But as people, the best thing we can do for our body is keep it as simple as possible. Good local food, good local medicine,
Yeah.
good local lifestyle, just live well.
Yeah, yep. Yep, definitely local. Yeah, there's been a big movement in the eat, in the food realm of like eating seasonally, locally, organically, but it's still a bit slow to come into the herbal medicine arena, I think, in Australia at least. It's been slow to have a comeback.
Yeah, my herbs are not local. A lot of my herbs come from all over the world. We buy from all over the world. And we have to.
Mm,
Like, how am I going to get certain herbs in Australia? They don't even grow here. We don't have the cold conditions. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so are most of the other suppliers and medicine makers in Australia working with imported ingredients. But it's good to at least support like a local company, local business, and buy direct from the people that are making it with their hands and hearts. And you can see and feel the energy that's gone into it. You can ask about the ingredients, and yeah, there's just something, I think that, yeah, I work in a health food shop, so I should probably be careful how much of a tangent I go on about that. But,
Oh, do
there's,
you?
there's a
Do you?
consumerism mentality. Yeah. There's a consumerism mentality that can kind of come in of like, oh, I'll buy this, I'll buy that. And then people don't even really know what they're buying because they're not buying it from the person who made it. So, um, yeah. So
In
there's,
so many
there's,
ways, I trust vitamins and minerals from a health food shop more than I do from a pharmacy in some
mhm.
ways. Because if the buyer in the health food shop is being conscious about who owns the company, follows the trail, who owns the company that are making the products, and you know, follows the efficacy of that company and finds out about it, because Big Pharma now owns so many of the nutraceutical and vitamin and mineral companies as well.
Mm,
So if you go into a health food shop and you've got good companies making things and you're trusting that more, I like that. Like I go into the Maple Street Co-op here in Malaney, which is the best co-op in Australia. It's amazing. And if I need anything that is remotely in a packet, like vitamin D or something like that, that I'm not getting from my mushrooms at home because I'm not eating mushrooms or I'm not out in the sun enough. Um, that's the other thing is stealth pathogens can really interfere with the vitamin D pathways as well, and they can stop vitamin D synthesizing correctly in the body. So
mm.
that's another little stealth pathogen thing I just thought I'd throw in
Yeah, yeah.
there. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Mm, mm.
Well, Dominique, we've definitely covered a lot in today's interview. And I just wanted to thank you so much for everything that you shared. And I'm sure that our listeners would have got a lot out of this. And I'm looking forward to your stealth pathogen course coming up. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on here today.
Hey, thanks, Tatiana. It's an absolute pleasure. And I'm stoked that you're joining us on the course. It's going to be fun. So, for anyone that wants to find out about what we're up to, it's medicineroom.com.au and you can sign up for our newsletter. That's the best way to get information on our courses and our
Beautiful.
products, offerings. Um,
Wonderful. Yeah. And I'll have all those links in the show notes below this interview too. So if anyone didn't catch that, just click on the links below. Thank you, Dominique. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Herbal Education segment of the Elder Tree podcast. Stay tuned every new moon as I interview more wise and inspiring herbal educators and herbal law keepers from around Australia. If you would like to go deeper with the podcast journey, you can become a member of the Elder Tree Trove on Patreon. Contribute as little as $2 per week to access free content from our interviewees and also access discount codes and opportunities which are exclusive to our members. You can find us on Patreon by going to www.patreon.com/theeldertree. Other ways that you can assist us in getting our offerings out there to more people in Australia is by subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and on the Spotify app. Also, liking, commenting on and sharing our social media posts actually has a really positive impact and helps us to reach further with the message from all of the amazing herbal law keepers that we interview on this podcast. Thank you so much for your support and have a most wonderful day. If we